Hello, and welcome to Xtalks Spotlight, illuminating insights from subject matter experts and industry thought leaders. I'm Sonia Hunt. In this episode, we're asking the question, how can you build a successful partnership with your CRO's project manager for cell and gene therapy product development? With more, here's Sydney Perlmutter.
The cell and gene therapy landscape has boomed in the last couple of years as more therapies enter into clinical trials and successful programs receive their approvals. During the development of these products, the CRO chosen to support a cell or gene therapy program can be the difference between a successful study and a study that fails to meet timelines or collect the data needed for approval. In particular, the CRO's project manager plays a key role in the success of a study and needs to be experienced, flexible, and responsive to the needs of the sponsor. Worldwide Clinical Trials is advancing their commitment to the development of cell and gene therapy products and has brought on experienced project managers able to provide the customized, flexible approach to development that they have become known for. Here today, we have Jake Boyd joining us, a director of project management at Worldwide, who has been a part of Worldwide's investment in CAR T-cell research and in delivering their quality service to their cell and gene therapy sponsors. Jake has more than 10 years of experience in project management, with more than half of that time being focused specifically on cell and gene therapy product development. He is here to talk about how to build a successful partnership with your CRO's project manager. So thanks very much for joining us today, Jake.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'll get right into the questions. So, from your experience, what are some of the key attributes of a strong partnership between a sponsor and their CRO? And what can a sponsor do to drive a strong partnership?
One aspect I've seen discussed at length at the beginning of a partnership is communication. And, in theory, it should be a fairly simple process to establish effective pathways of communication, but I've seen it fall short in certain instances for various reasons. It's important for your CRO partner to really have a clear understanding of where the sponsor is in the development of your protocol. One area I've seen a lot of trust being built between sponsors and CROs is when the sponsor is willing to include the CRO partner in providing input during the protocol development process by leaning on the CRO's operational and therapeutic experience. So it's a great opportunity for the teams to collaborate, and it does set up a great precedent for the life of the study and the dynamic amongst the teams. So at the same time, our sponsor partners need their CRO partner to give them a clear understanding of how our communication is structured at the CRO and know exactly who they need to reach out to at any given point in time to discuss issues and resolve them. So, I always advocate for a flat communication structure so that all the team members are on the same page and sponsors know who they can reach out to at the organization to help resolve any issues that do come up. And another piece that would play into that would be management of the timeline. So CROs, as a CRO, we always do our best to adhere to the timelines established at the beginning of the study. And part of that is understanding the timelines that sponsors are being held to by their collaborators and investors. I've worked for the most part with small biotechs for the majority of my career, and I fully understand the importance of hitting critical milestones like first site activated, first patient in. But if there are any shifts that occur to these milestones due to manufacturing delays, which we see a lot of the times happening in cell and gene therapy, it's important to have an open discussion with your partners so we can help mitigate those and adapt the timelines to those.
Now, speaking of mitigating challenges, what are some of the challenges that can be avoided in cell and gene therapy development when a strong partnership is built up front with the project manager?
Yeah. Something I'm coming across more often these days is the requirement from our clinical sites to have the final manuals and plans in place before they'll even consider doing the trial or submitting to their internal committees, such as the ethics committees and IBC committees, where they're a component of cell therapy, to begin the actual startup process at the site. These plans include the cell therapy or the cell product handling manuals, pharmacy manuals, if applicable, or central lab manuals and the specialty lab manuals. And it's completely justifiable for sites to ask for these materials up front. But it's also something a lot of sponsors are thinking about later in the process, after the protocol has been developed. But like I said, a lot of these sites need to know how the study is set up and what the guidelines are they need to follow during site qualification so they can determine whether or not it's feasible for them. If you have a solid partnership established with your CRO partner manager early on, it's an opportunity to delegate that responsibility to the CRO and to make sure that piece doesn't delay site activation, and it's an opportunity to have them review the product handling manual to ensure all the critical elements are included that sites need to know. These product handling manuals, they need to be extremely clear and straightforward on how to handle the product. That includes receipt, thawing, filtration, any kind of dose modifications that need to be included with the product. So ideally your CRO partner is going to have seen a lot of different iterations of these types of manuals and plans. So it never hurts to have as many eyes as you can on these plans. And these are just a few areas where your CRO partner can help.
Well, the logistics of cell and gene therapy studies can be very cumbersome to navigate. So how do you work with a sponsor to reduce those potential risks?
Yeah, cumbersome is a nice way to put it. But no, you're absolutely correct. The logistics aspect can be a difficult piece to iron out. There's a lot of variability on the requirements based on the type of cells that are being transported, whether or not the therapy is autologous versus allogenic, as well as keeping in mind the availability of the sponsor's manufacturing partner. It's really important for sponsors to have a close relationship with their manufacturing partner and those colleagues. So transparency around slot availability can be communicated to all of the involved parties. We do our best to mitigate situations where the clinical site is patient ready, but there aren't any slots available for that month to begin the process for them. So I will say the tools and technology that have been developed over the past few years have had to manage this whole process have become a lot more intuitive, but it still does take a trained and knowledgeable team to implement. And this does even apply to blood and tissue samples collected for these studies in the earlier phases. There are many specialty labs that are used to analyze these types of samples, and it's important to provide clear plans and instructions to our site teams to ensure these samples are sent to the correct locations within their stability window. I'm seeing more often that sponsors have begun hiring their own logistics teams in-house, which is great because they're understanding the importance of having a dedicated team to oversee this process and aspect of the study. But at Worldwide in particular, we've done a great job of being able to be flexible and providing logistics coordinators to our sponsor partners to integrate with their team. And that's another great area where we can support the entire vein-to-vein process.
Now, if you could highlight for us, in your opinion, the most important thing for sponsors to keep in mind when building a partnership with their CRO project manager, what would that be?
Yeah, if there's one perspective I hope we can all keep in mind, and I would recommend it would be for both sponsors and CRO team members to remember we're all in this industry for a reason. We all share a passion and a common goal to bring these novel therapeutics to the market for patients that need them. I think if we all go into these relationships with this mindset, we'll achieve great things together.
Well, you've shown a lot of excitement and passion about this area of research today. So what do you expect to come for the future of these novel therapies?
That's another great question. Historically, a lot of these cell and gene therapies have been focused on heme malignancies. As you can see by the multiple approved therapies on the market today. I'm excited to see there are now companies that are focusing on moving these therapies into the solid tumor and rare disease space. And the beautiful aspect of this technology used to create these cell and gene therapies is that they can be modified to target countless different antigens, while at the same time trying to limit known adverse events. That's really great. I'm really excited to see where we're able to move into the clinic over the next few years. And I just wanted to mention, one of the biggest reasons I came over to Worldwide was knowing I'd be surrounded by a group of people that share my passion for cell and gene therapy. We have the full support and focus from our senior leadership here to operationalize these studies in the clinic. And we do all understand how important it is to get these therapies out to the patients that do need them. And I know I touched on a few points around how to set up a solid foundation with your CRO project manager and the entire team during this session. But I would like to mention that I'm teaming up with a few of my brilliant colleagues who are even more savvy in the cell and gene therapy space than I am. We're going to release a webinar in June with a larger focus on anticipating these operational challenges that may come up on these types of trials and what you can do to minimize those.
Well, we'll look out for that webinar. And Jake, I just want to thank you again for joining us for this Xtalks Spotlight feature.
Thank you very much, Sydney. It's been great to be here.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Take care, everyone.